Like, I'm a dietitian nutritionist. I'm a dietitian nutritionist. I'm a dietitian nutritionist.
Alright guys, buckle up because today we're talking about one of the weirdest YouTube journeys I've ever seen. This is the story of Amberlynn Reid, a creator who started a channel to document what was supposed to be a weight loss journey.
My name's Amberlynn and I wanted to start a YouTube channel for weight loss.
And somehow ended up gaining over 300 pounds instead. You know, the kind of channel where someone tracks progress, celebrates small wins, and maybe posts a few grocery hauls where kale is treated like the holy grail of vegetables. Except, that's not what happened. Instead, what viewers got was less rocky training montage and more chaotic episode of a reality show where everyone forgot the script. The channel kicked off with Amberlynn introducing herself and stepping on the scale at around 368 pounds. Now, putting that out there publicly takes guts, so early viewers were actually pretty supportive. The comment section looked like a digital pep rally. People were cheering her on, telling her she could do it, dropping motivational speeches that sounded like they were written by a life coach who drinks 3 green smoothies before breakfast. And for a brief moment, it actually felt like the start of a redemption arc. But then, week 1 happened. 7 days into the journey, Amberlynn posted her first update. She stepped on the scale again, and the number hadn't changed. Same exact weight.
My weigh-in was 368.0 last week. My weigh-in today was 368.0. So I stayed the exact.
Which, to be fair, happens. Weight loss isn't a speed run. Nobody drops 50 pounds in a week unless they're shedding water weight like a dehydrated cactus. But the interesting part wasn't the number, it was the mindset. Amberlynn openly admitted she wasn't planning to track calories during Thanksgiving. Which is like starting a marathon and announcing halfway through the first mile that you'll be taking a nap in the grass because jogging is hard.
No, I will not be counting calories, if any of you are wondering. No, I will not even be thinking about my health that day. I'm just not gonna think about my weight. I don't have willpower like I used to. I remember the days where I was down 3 pounds a day, but I'm never gonna be that again.
It's technically a strategy, just not one that tends to end with medals. Another week rolled around, new weigh-in, and instead of staying the same, the scale went up.
This week has been my most indulgent binging week I have ever had. I weighed in at 371.0. I will be weighing on Thursdays now, and by this Thursday I hope to be down 3 pounds. It should be simple.
Now we're at 371 pounds. At this point, you could practically hear the dramatic music building in the background like we're entering Act 2 of a documentary titled, Well, That Escalated Quickly. Amberlynn's solution to the problem wasn't a new diet plan or exercise routine. No, the master plan was changing the day she weighed herself. And look, I respect the creativity. That's the kind of outside-the-box thinking usually reserved for people trying to convince their teacher the dog ate their homework while the dog is literally sitting there chewing on the assignment. But the scale doesn't care what day it is. So the next week rolls around and, surprise, the number climbs again and again.
I've been having a lot of issues with saying no to certain foods. So I did my weigh-in. I was up 2.8. Every time I weigh in, I'm like not losing. I don't know what to do, but I stepped on the scale and saw 377. My first reaction was, what? That can't be right. I stepped on it a few other times, which I normally do, and it all said the same thing. I definitely know how to gain some weight.
Watching these early updates felt like watching someone repeatedly press the elevator button even though it's already lit up. It's not doing anything, but somehow you still hope the universe will reward the effort. Eventually, the comment section started to shift. At first, it was pure support. But the internet is the internet, and sooner or later, someone shows up with the social skills of a wet sock and decides to play critic. Amberlynn actually made an entire video responding to one of these early haters, which is always a risky move. Because responding to one negative comment on the internet is like feeding a raccoon in your backyard. Once you do it, suddenly there are 30 raccoons and they all want snacks.
This person is beating me up so bad with their words, saying that since I started this channel, I'm actually up.
But despite the rocky start, Amberlynn made a bold declaration. By the end of the year, she wanted to drop below 300 pounds. And surprisingly, for a little while, it looked like things might actually work.
My resolution is to reach 299 pounds. I think I was 11 when I weighed 290 pounds, and ever since then, I have never seen that number 2 at the beginning of my weight.
So after setting that ambitious goal of dipping below 300 pounds, something unexpected happened for a brief moment. Progress. Actual, measurable progress. The scale started moving in the right direction, even if it was crawling along like a snail carrying groceries. A few ounces down here, a pound there. Nothing dramatic, but enough to make viewers think, alright, maybe this is the turning point.
So my weigh-in yesterday was 377.0. My weigh-in today was 376.4, so that's down 0.6.
The comments went back to being supportive again. People love a comeback story. It's practically baked into human DNA. If you show someone a struggle followed by improvement, they'll root for you like you're the protagonist in a sports movie who just discovered the power of friendship and protein shakes. Months went by and Amberlynn managed to drop around 28 pounds.
It feels really freaking good to be so on track. I'm in the 340s, no more 350s.
Now, in the grand scheme of weight loss, that's actually a solid accomplishment. It's not flashy, but it's real progress. The scale moved from the high 300s and 70s down into the 300s and 40s, which is like finally pushing a stalled car and realizing it's actually rolling again. For a second, it looked like the original plan might work after all. But then the discipline started slipping. Instead of structured meals and consistent updates, the content slowly shifted toward, I've been eating whatever I want lately, which is the dietary equivalent of trying to budget money while also buying a yacht every weekend. The math just doesn't cooperate.
I spent the last 3 weeks eating whatever I wanted.
Within a couple of months, nearly 14 pounds came back like they were boomerangs with unfinished business.
I have gained 13.8 pounds in the last couple of months.
And by the end of that same year, the scale had drifted right back to where everything started. Same number, same position, same awkward realization that 12 months of effort had essentially turned into a very long loading screen. If weight loss journeys were video games, this would be the part where the screen pops up saying, "Mission failed. Please try again." But life had another twist waiting around the corner. Not long after that plateau, Amberlynn posted a video explaining that her 4-year relationship had ended. Breakups are rough for anyone, and when emotions are already tied to food habits, it can turn into the nutritional equivalent of a tornado hitting a vending machine factory. Only a couple days after that announcement, something happened that made the situation look even more serious. The scale stopped working, not because it broke, but because the number exceeded what it could measure. At that point, Amberlynn revealed her weight had climbed past 420 pounds.
The fact that the scale wasn't reading me because I reached 420 again or around there, it absolutely hurts.
And yeah, that's the kind of moment where reality hits like a brick wrapped in a gym membership brochure. To be fair, emotional upheaval can derail anyone's routines. When life throws chaos at you, maintaining strict habits becomes about as easy as assembling IKEA furniture during an earthquake. But the next chapter added a new variable into the mix, a new relationship. Amberlynn started dating someone named Destiny, and initially it seemed like things might stabilize. Having support in your personal life can sometimes help rebuild structure. At least that's the theory. In practice though, something else happened. The weigh-ins stopped appearing regularly. Weeks turned into months without updates from the scale, which is kind of like owning a smoke detector and removing the batteries because you don't like the beeping sound. The silence feels nice, but it doesn't mean the fire disappeared. Eventually, Amberlynn stepped back on the scale, and when the number popped up, it revealed another jump. 455 pounds.
I weighed in and I'm 455.0 pounds. I know every single time I come on here I weigh more and more and more.
At this stage, viewers began noticing a shift not just in the numbers, but in the overall vibe of the channel. The tone felt different. The audience that once cheered every milestone started becoming more critical, more skeptical, and far less patient.
People are judging every move I make. Even in the good things that I do, people find negative, and it's frustrating to me.
So with the number now sitting around 455 pounds, the atmosphere around the channel started changing in a pretty noticeable way. Early on, the audience had been overwhelmingly supportive. People were rooting for improvement like fans watching an underdog team somehow make the playoffs. But now, the tone felt different. Some viewers began pointing out inconsistencies. Others noticed that the uploads weren't really about progress anymore. Instead of documenting steady improvement, the content started drifting into something that felt more like a reality show where every episode had a new piece of drama attached to it. And ironically, that's when the channel started growing faster. Now, if you've spent any time on the internet, you know the rule. Chaos gets attention. Calm, steady progress is nice for personal growth, but it doesn't exactly light up the algorithm. The algorithm wants fireworks, arguments, plot twists, and the occasional moment where everyone collectively says, "Wait, what just happened?" So while criticism increased, so did the view counts. Around this point, Amberlynn's uploads began including more food-centered content. Big meals, restaurant trips, snack hauls, the kind of stuff that looks like it belongs in a mukbang video rather than a weight loss vlog. And every time one of those videos appeared, the audience reaction was about as subtle as a foghorn. Some viewers watched out of concern, others watched out of curiosity, and a whole new group started showing up purely for the spectacle. It's kind of like when people slow down on the highway to stare at a car accident. Nobody wants to admit that's why they're looking, but the traffic jam doesn't lie. As months passed, the scale kept climbing. Not gradually either. We're talking jumps that looked less like steps and more like elevator rides. Within half a year, the number had reached 482 pounds. That's nearly 30 pounds added on top of the already rising total. And just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get more unstable, life threw another curveball. The relationship with Destiny ended. Breakups are already emotional events, but when your entire lifestyle is documented online, the fallout doesn't stay private. Instead, it becomes another chapter in the ongoing story the audience is watching unfold in real time. Shortly after that split, Amberlynn revealed a new weigh-in. 489 pounds.
January 1st, I weighed 489.2. That is the highest weight I have ever weighed. Absolutely disgusting. 10.8 pounds away from 500 pounds. I can't even say that out loud. That is possible for me to be that big. It is scary.